everyone, and welcome to the Friday ISD Happy Hour Show brought to you by IrisSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flamong, and with me is Emperor, Supreme Warlord, and Defender of the Faith for Notre Dame football from 1 foot down, Joshua Vowles at Subway Domer on Twitter. My man, how are you doing on this fine Friday afternoon?
I can't believe you shut that music off, dude. I was vibing there for a minute. That's like hip hop yacht rock is what that intro is. Like I was trying to figure it out for a minute there, figure out which way I was going to go. And I'm like, it's all hip hop yacht rock. I'm good. It's 100 degrees where I'm at. And I just so happened to say, you know what? I'm going to do this show out in the back porch. Well, that was dumb, but here I am.
You're here, and look, 100 degrees. You're ready to play in College Station, apparently. It's all we've heard about is the weather and how loud it's going to be there. We're going to talk about that actually in a little bit, but just an intro to this show. We wanted to. I'm always like in my life. I'm always at this point in the week. It's Friday. We've done all of the preview stuff. We've done all the conversation about the game. The opener is always very well talked about at this point. But I always want to talk about the game, right? Like it's on top of my mind. And so we're just going to little hangout show, right? It's a happy hour time. We don't have to get fully into the nuts and bolts of the matchups and everything. Just vibes, just hanging out. A couple of guys hanging out. Talking about the game, talking about college football, whatever people want to talk about in the chat as well. So we thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you hear today, please hit the like button on this show. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going to go live. Links to this show are in the description below. And as always, this show is brought by ESQ Clothing. Finally restocked their bamboo dress shirts online. You've seen bamboo dress shirts on all your favorite Notre Dame players and coaches, and it's made from proprietary fabric that's cooler and softer than cotton. It's the best shirt for any occasion. Go to esqclothing.com and use ISD15 to get 15% off your order. Josh, Zach Davis is here for Friday Party. He's very excited about that. Irish Gordian Knot says, I've said it all off season. I'm sticking with it. I have Notre Dame winning 34-17. Where are you at? If Brendan Renshaw's got Notre Dame 24-13, I predicted on the site. We did our full season predictions. I got 27-10 Notre Dame in this game. Where are you at with Notre Dame?
I've been kind of all over the map a little bit. I think this morning I put something out. I had 33-10. Okay. I think on the 3 hour pod we just did the other night with you, I think I said like 34-13 or something like that. I don't have Texas A&M scoring two offensive touchdowns. Maybe they score a defensive touchdown. I don't know, but I'm not going to bake that into the mix on a prediction. I am baffled by the banter surrounding this game, especially as it's picked up over the last couple of weeks. I thought it would get smarter from national guys, and I guess that's expecting too much. But I'm just trying to figure out like who has the All-Americans on the defensive line, who has the better coaching staff. We talked. I mean, it's just none of this seems like it's as dead set as what everyone so many around the country want to make it at. Is this is a loss, and then they bring up the environment, and I laugh at that. Brendan's stat was 10 years. I gave one this morning on a little show I did. Just over the last 5 years, they're 19-10 at home against Power 4 schools. Mm-hmm. I don't see how that's like so intimidating. I get the 102,000. I get the cult and the chants, but someone's gonna have to tell me what I don't like to get something, because I don't get a whole lot of the discourse around this game. So I think high 20s to low teens or low 30s to somewhere around there seems like it's about right to me.
It's kind of wild how the heat in the crowd, right? Like I get it. It's a factor, right? These things are factors in the game. I mean, the home team always has some kind of advantage, right? Like it's never nothing, you know. But I guess I'll put it out to you, and I'll put it out to everyone else. Which one do you think is the most overplayed? The heat or the crowd noise? Which one for you takes the cake on this?
For me, it's the heat. Well, no, I'll change my mind on that one. Heat's a huge factor. Let me flip that. Heat will make you cramp up. I mean, your star players could be
matters.
Heat will take you out. I specifically remember 2013 Arizona State, and this is why I'm saying heat matters. 2013, no, not 2013 Arizona State. It was 2014 Arizona State, right? We went out to Tempe.
Yes. It was 2014.
Yes,
they went down.
Yes.
I want to say like 35-3 or whatever it was.
Right. It was a wild comeback, and then
I
actually got a concussion during that game, which was awesome. But anyways, a lot of that talk that week was I had a spot on my forehead for like, I don't know, 2 years, 2.5.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was crazy. Anyways, but the big talk that week was the desert heat, and Notre Dame was going to, from South Bend, they're going to shrivel. And my point to that, just as my point is to my point to the heat is, how many players from the South does Notre Dame have? How many players from Florida, from Arizona, from Texas, Georgia? Like these guys are not immune to heat.
Riley Leonard's from Alabama, Josh.
Right. So, and I think I kind of got proven wrong a little bit in 2014, only because, yes, these guys, it's just about how your body acclimates to the time. So big changes, like going from 70 degrees to 35 degrees. I think those big changes definitely affect you. But if you have a chance to acclimate, so like early season games, 100 degrees or whatever, which is not going to be, I guess, on Saturday night. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of cooling going on tonight. I don't know how hard that's going to hit Notre Dame, especially considering the fact what they're coming from, where I'm still sitting in 100 degrees heat and I'm in Northwest Ohio right now. So I think it'll affect both teams just in the fact of normal hydration, cramping, just making sure your rotations, guys aren't getting too winded. I mean, it's the same old.
Yeah.
But it's going to affect them. Crowd noise, man, it's loud. Don't let 2017 Miami dictate every answer that you have in life. Like
everything I've heard about is that game was unique in that like players, the team bus was getting like, I don't want to use the word attacked, but like bombarded. People were throwing things at the team bus. Like that was like, there was a physical safety issue involved with that game. It was different.
And what else, Greg? What else happens during football games sometimes? Sometimes you just crap the bed.
You just don't play well.
For whatever. There was one player that showed up to that game, and that was Quentin Nelson. One player from Notre Dame showed up to that game, that was Quentin Nelson. Other than that, they all just kind of crap the bed, and you could say crowd noise. It's not particularly loud in there. And then the crowd was hype and wild, and it was a dope scene for them. But it was just like, it's one of those games where you just imploded. It happens all the time, and it's not just because of crowd noise. And again, they would bank on 2017 Miami. The Notre Dame goes to Virginia Tech, and they want to act like Notre Dame is going to lose because of a 5-minute intro before the game. That's like the only analysis done is like, oh, this intro and the crowd. Like, oh, remember 2017 Miami? It's like, I don't understand how this correlates at all. So I get it's going to be loud. I get that, it's going to be a little wild. It's culty. It might look different for some Catholics down there. It's very Baptisty. But I don't know, man. I would say the heat's going to affect them way more than the crowd noise, because you can plan a lot. There's a game plan for crowd noise, right? There wasn't in 2017. Right, there wasn't in 2017.
I mean, heat gives you has a physical effect on your body, whereas the crowd noise is just it's just noise, right? Like it doesn't affect how you physically play. It's just loud, right? Do a silent count, right? Like teams, I'm into your point. Like, they play in college. Teams play in College Station in all kind of weather, right? Whatever it may be. Like you said, their record at home isn't like they're a 500 team, period. And it's not like they're better than 500 at home, but like that's every team, right? But it's not like they have this incredible. Like Notre Dame didn't lose a game at home from like
17
2017
to
to
21.
whenever. Yeah, like and no one talks about
from the Georgia game in 2017 until Cincinnati in 2021.
Yeah,
The
they didn't
long
lose a game at
stretch
home.
but no one would accuse Notre Dame Stadium of being. No one said it. Like if you would predict a game, they'd be like, "Oh, you're walking into this Lions den because they haven't lost a game and all that." No,
yeah.
But you get there winning, so
yeah,
whatever.
Alex Herman of Notre Dame, our blogger, is in the chat talking about Happy Friday. The crowd factor may be real, but at least on defense, the guys are vets, borderline pros. They've been in big environments before. Howard Cross and Riley Mills could be in the NFL right now if they wanted. Xavier Watts could be in the NFL right now if he wanted. He decided to come back. Jack Kaiser, 6-year senior, right? Like he's of that ilk, right? So they have key players on their team that they can deal with this stuff, right? It's nothing new or anything like that. And he makes a further point
about the pros.
If only we had it. Well, a further point he makes: if only we had an OC who had coached big games in the SEC before.
Oh,
Mike Denbrock's coached in some big games in the SEC.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. I was gonna say too, like that's funny. We talk about pros. I just wanted to point this out. Like, name me a pro stadium that's filling 105,000 people, and as well. Like, what's funny is it's calmer environments in the NFL, even with unlimited booze, which we're starting to get anyways in a lot of college games. College environments are a lot tougher to play in than random sterile NFL stadiums. So it is key for like Jack Kaiser, Howard Cross, Riley Mills, Xavier Watts. Why no one mentions Xavier Watts when talking about this? The best player, the best defensive player in college football last year, continually being overlooked. Today, I pointed it out in the DMs. Bill Connolly talking about the A&M's receivers versus Notre Dame secondary. Did not mention Xavier Watts once. Led the nation in interceptions last year. You do not mention him. How do you have a job? I mean, these are all people I've respected over the years and like their stuff and generally like his people. But the way that Xavier Watts has been pushed into being a ghost in this whole preseason is just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, like Connolly, he wanted to make the point that Notre Dame has some newcomers in the secondary, replacing Cam Hart. Well, if you're going to talk about the matchup, you should mention they have two first-team All-Americans in their secondary. Should mention it, right? Like you can say like, they have to replace Cam Hart, right? They have to replace Thomas Harper. They're replacing Thomas Harper with a transfer. Fair enough, right? You're placing Cam Hart, who started, countless games since 2021 as a regular starter. You have Christian Gray coming in, who like a lot of fans are excited about, but he hasn't actually started in a game. So that's okay. That's a fair take, right?
That's the one, right? And that's the one that you get as an outside the Notre Dame bubble guy. Yeah, that's the one that you get.
You should mention that Xavier Watts is also in the secondary, and he was Defensive Player of the Year. Like no one would say if the Defensive Player of the Year was playing for the Texas A&M D line, they wouldn't be like, well, I don't know, it's unknown, because they have another All-American on the other side, and like I've heard countless things about Nick Scorton all year, right? Like all off season, it's like he's JJ Watt, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald clone, right? Like that's the talk. And like, that's it. Like, that's just that they're going to be awesome. And that's it. Like, but it's like Notre Dame has first team All-American Ben Morrison and not in Defensive Player of the Year, Xavier Watts in the secondary. It's like, but we're going to talk about the other guys.
Well, the guy, what you say about Scorton makes another point too. A&M did a lot of their portal additions, the guys that are coming in, they were adding to strengths already.
Yeah.
We're Notre Dame on the flip. What did we need help at? Wide receiver, right? Like, we needed a lot of help in that room.
Yeah.
Now this room is about as good as we've seen it in a while. And so our weaknesses from last year are stronger because of the portal, whereas A&M's strengths are the same. Like your defensive line, and I don't know. I would think maybe an offensive coordinator with some experience might be able to figure out some game plans with that, regardless of what you have in your offensive line. I mean, just because they're young does not mean that Notre Dame's putting them out there to die. Like, this isn't like a Joe fan who sees a recruiting ranking and wants the freshman to play right away kind of a thing. These guys are playing because they have earned it in practice. So I have a little more faith in that than just some, oh, put him in. That's a 5-star blah, blah, blah from South Dakota.
What are your expectations for Riley Leonard in this game?
I'm a little more hype about him now after I talked to you the other night.
There you go.
But I am very cautious. Like, I'm not worried about his health. And I'm not worried about him running. As far as like, he's going to get it. I think he's going to get his yards. Brendan has been adamant over the last couple of weeks about the Mike Elko kryptonite running quarterbacks. We had a big conversation about that the other night, about how they do pretty well. I asked you how many, if Riley Leonard gets over 65 yards this game, you said absolutely. I'm confident in that.
Yeah.
I do want to see with these new wide receivers, we have nothing, right? Like, there wasn't a spring game to gauge anything off at all.
Yes. Yeah. We don't know.
And the press hasn't seen anything really. I mean, we all have to be honest about this. This is the least that the media has seen them in practice situations for at least 40 years, because Tim Priester said it, and he's been covering them for almost my entire lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot to go off of. All I can say is, watching Leonard last year, I was never that impressed with him as a thrower, but as a football player, which is big with me, I think he's a really good football player. Which means he's going out there and he's giving everything he has, running the ball, leading the team, doing what needs to be done. Precision passing, I'm gonna have to see it first, and I don't know how much we need of that. I mean, maybe we'll need a bunch. Maybe we won't need quite as much as I think. It'll work in with the scheme, and there'll be guys open. So I am a little I want to see a little bit at first, but I think everything else around him, I'm lifted. You've lifted me over the last week or so.
Yeah, Chief Brody doesn't trust his accuracy on deep balls. I mean, it's a fair concern to have, right?
I agree.
They didn't do it. I mean, they just didn't do it at Duke very often, right? It was something I pointed out when Notre Dame signed him, right? Like, there's not a lot of examples of him throwing deep, because they didn't have the type of offense that like stretch teams vertically, and so he's not going to have the sophistication there, right? So it's a concern, but
does he have the arm for it?
He definitely has the arm. That's not the question.
Right.
I mean,
So
people
point
like him for
about
a reason.
Well, that gets to some points I've had before about the wide receivers. Better wide receivers make your deep ball. Like, it's not just if can the quarterback hit you on a dime 45 yards down the field. Can your receiver adjust to that ball in the air? And what does he do? Is he running a post instead of hitting a flag route? I mean, like, there's all sorts of things that these wide receivers can make a quarterback better at a deep ball. Because let's be honest. Go back and look at all these schools in college football, right? And you'll have some really good deep passers from quarterbacks that won't even make it in the CFL. And so a lot of it just comes down to, like, are you in line with your receivers? Jimmy Clausen, best deep ball thrower we've ever seen at Notre Dame. Am I right?
Yes.
Didn't have a whole lot of, but he only had a couple wide receivers he could do that with.
Right.
He wasn't throwing a deep ball to Robbie Paris, but he was throwing a deep ball to Golden Tate. So it makes a difference about who you're throwing the ball to, and I think the wide receiver room is going to help with that manner, and stuff that he just didn't have at Duke. So
I took a lot away from, like, when I was, watching Georgia Tech play Florida State. Like, I thought Haynes King was like a really good example of what Riley Leonard can be. Like, even if he isn't the greatest thrower, like, of what you like, Haynes King made some pretty big time throws in that game. But it was definitely like his legs that made things happen for them and kept drives going. And he escaped and, avoided losses. And he was able to hurt Florida State, just being a football player. Right. And I think that's part of the thing with Riley Leonard is like, man, this kid, like, he's a football player now, you know, and look, he's big and he's got a strong arm, right? He's got those physical attributes. It's just like, can you make the throws? Can you do enough quarterback things to where the football player in you is that much more elevated, right?
And we're just gonna have to see that, right? Because there's
Yeah.
nothing, we have nothing to base it off of with this current crop of wide receivers line within this offense. We're just kind of like rolling the dice and letting it go on. When we sit down to watch them play College Station or A&M College Station, because we have nothing to base it off of.
Alex Herman says again, if he can get the ball to Love, Faison, Evans, Greathouse, etc., we can make things happen. Putting my faith in Denbrock until he proves me wrong. Yeah, like he has options to get the ball out, get the ball in space to some of these guys and let them work and let them create things, right? Let them be football players. It's not just solely dependent on, Riley Leonard having to fit the ball into windows, right? Getting the ball in space and things of that nature. What are your feelings? Go ahead.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what we were screaming and yelling about back in 2021 after the Florida State game? Blake Fisher went down, and we were going through tackle after tackle after tackle.
Yeah, it was get the like RPOs, get the ball out quick.
Can we get quickly. Exactly? Can we get a ball to somebody in space?
Yeah,
and have them make a play. Like small mid-level schools are doing this everywhere and putting up fights, and we were struggling at doing. We were struggling and we were not doing that. Do you think that would be more of the game plan with this young left side that we're going to have? Is a little quicker, getting some shots into guys in space, trying to make them make a play, in space, 1-on-1, 6-7 yards, from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think for sure, like de-emphasize those linemen being able to, hold on and pass protection, right? Like de-emphasize that and then emphasize their ability to move forward and actually move people, right? Like Sam Pendleton, I don't know how good he is at pass protection, but I think his strength is going to be trying to move people and in the run game and getting on people's bodies and tossing people around. Like that's his strength, right? So look, you de-emphasize the weakness and emphasize the strength. Like that's what coaching is. I think that's the sort of thing that Denbrock can do. And thankfully, like the problem with the 22 team, like early in the year, you had Lorenzo Styles, right? Like everyone remembers the Cal game. They try to get him the ball.
Few drops.
Yeah, like he's dropping the ball, right? And Avery Davis is hurt. And you just didn't have those guys, right? The 21 team, kind of the same deal, where you just didn't have that. Well, they weren't emphasizing that to begin with. I think they had a different team that they had planned for a certain type of team, just like all together. And once they went to it, they were wildly successful, right? And that's why that team was so enhanced by Tyler Buckner being able to move around, because it's another thing. It's another one of those situations where you're just de-emphasizing the thing you can't do and emphasizing the thing you can. I think that's what Notre Dame's going to do. And luckily you have the skill guys to do that. Vamos Irish with an important question. What are we drinking tomorrow? Texas beers, spicy margaritas. Where are you at with this, Josh?
So we got to ask this question when I had you on the show the other night. I never answered it. So I put out the anti-preview today, and I think people are expecting the cliche of margaritas because I did the tacos. I did the tacos for the eats, right?
Yeah.
How can you now? It's been nothing but taco talk. You got to go tacos. But instead of going margarita tequila, we're going mojito and rum.
Oh.
So we're going down to Cuba and pulling out one of the best drinks ever made. And that's a mojito. So you want a cool, refreshing drink, mojitos all day long.
Chief Brody says Coors Banquet. I think the idea of a banquet there is, I think that's tremendous. That's, first of all, it's a great word to use. Mojitos. Let's go. Yeah, that's a great one.
I have a solid answer for beer, and whatever beer you like is the beer you should drink. I will
Yeah.
never try to like I will never beer shame someone. Even the people I don't like craft like snobs, but I won't shame them. Like that's your
Yeah.
thing, man. And beer is a very personal choice. I like Pabst. I like Pabst before hipsters like Pabst. I like Keystone Light. I like Rolling Rock. I like Budweiser. Like I like cheap American beer because that's what I started drinking when I was
Yeah.
15. So,
Let's
I'm
go.
what, 46? I'm 46 now. Those things have done okay for me. They've done all right.
Yeah.
Now I like a little, I like a little something different here and there, and I have no problem drinking it. But I'm not going to sit down and drink like 15, 16 of like raspberry stout ales or whatever the hell. I don't even know what the hell it is. I'm not into all that. But I'm not going to sit down and drink all those. Just like I won't drink like 16 like seltzers. Like you got to throw me in like a warm natural light to like cleanse the palate. Like a couple of them.
Yeah. Irish Gordy Not says, I liked PBR before hipsters liked PBR. It's a very hipster thing to say.
I know. Listen,
No,
all I'll say is the first time, like, I will give my dad the dad PBR story, although it's fun. But I started drinking that like my sophomore year in high school because you show up at a party and a guy just showed up with it. He's like 6-pack, $3, and everybody else is drinking natural light. And I don't know why my kids should be seeing this. Talk about drinking as sophomores. I got a sophomore in high school right now, and I'd kill her if she was drinking. Anyways, and that's what like so when you're young too, that's just like they're totally right. Advertising works. That's the beer you go to. I know I drank like 4 of those at that party the other night. I can drink 4 or 5 more at this party. So yeah, that's a totally hipster thing. You're right. You're not wrong.
Irish Gordy Not is just on fire. I homebrewed a 9% tangerine lager, and I'm cutting it with 50% lemonade to make a bomb shandy. Tried the first one an hour ago, dude. He is on another level. Like he is talking about mid-season form over here.
How many children did you have? Because I think once you get past 1, this is way too much time on anything.
I mean, he's going for it. He's really going for it. I mean, look, drop it.
That's serious.
AGK, age, sex, location in the chat. Let's go. Let's get some deets on your situation. That sounded totally delicious. So
yeah. Whatever game that someone goes to up there, I'm gonna have to have something like that. That sounds good.
He used to be a professional brewer, so we've got a pro in the chat.
Oh, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
You know what? IGK, I don't recall your screen name being on. If you're not subscribed right now, I need you to do that. All-American sophomore, don't leave that out. Listen, I need if you're not subscribed to the show, I need you to do so because you're contributing a lot. So please subscribe. You know, another thing, Josh,
I appreciate Oscar dropping the All-American status there on Liv, who did earn All-American status this year from the UCA. So
All-American state champion is where it is with Liv Vowles. She needs a banner. Put it up. It's the time has come. It's been too long. There is no excuse. Put the banner up. I'm ready for it.
I'll send this to the principal and athletic director after we're done.
30-year-old from Missouri, grew up in Elkhart. Let's go.
Oh, hell yeah, baby.
He's that's perfect. Just hit the sub. And you know what, Josh?
I got lost in Elkhart once.
60% of people who listen to this show, 60% of people who listen to this show aren't subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like. Hit the like. Hit the notification bell.
Come on, bro. It ain't that hard. Content. It's a freaking button. It's a freaking button. Just hit it.
Banger content. All right. We need to get an update on your Hicksville situation. Josh has a phenom son. You can drop his name in the chat. It's up to you. The Hicksville Aces. Josh, he went on a crusade to change the logo. They went back to the 4 Aces. Yeah, he went back to the 4 Aces. And what's the situation there? I know your son Ryan. He's a freshman football.
No. He's 7th grader.
7th grader. So played in a game. They played in their inaugural opening day game yesterday. How did it go?
Well, yesterday was still a scrimmage, but it was a game.
Oh, okay.
He played like 5 plays. Wasn't much.
Were they bangers? Were they bangers?
No, I was pretty upset with the coaching staff for not. He didn't play any offense, which I don't know how to feel about that or not because he did have the touchdown catch, had a nice 38-yard catch and run in the scrimmage.
Well, listen, if he's not going to play offense, we got to get him out of the 88, bro.
And it was against a nemesis of his. It was against a nemesis for this other school who's twice as fast as he is, at least twice as fast. So however reason he got it. Anyways, no. So the one yesterday, he probably only got like four or five plays in on defense. But the offense was running a freaking T. Like, they were coming straight out of the T, which was gorgeous. I was like very appreciative of seeing the T formation. But he's playing corner and he's playing 15, 20 yards out in the flat. And I'm way too far away. I'd look like a complete asshole if I just start yelling at him to like move in.
Yeah.
But none of the coaches, he's right in front of the coaching staff. None of them are saying anything. I'm like, what are we doing here, boys? Like, they're running everything between the tackles. Why you have him camped out here? You're not saying anything to him. I'm just guessing this is where you want him at. So I don't know. He is enjoying it a lot more than I think he thought he was going to, because he kind of didn't want to play this year. And we just told him, like, that's not acceptable in this house. Like, football or cross country, pick one. And why would you just want to run? That's just the dumbest thing. Who wants to run?
Yeah.
So football it was. He's enjoying himself. Dylan starts next week. High school, we lost to a state semifinalist last Friday pretty bad. Tonight, we got a team that we beat last year, but it was the dirtiest damn team I've ever seen in my life. I mean, dirty. So who knows how rough it's going to get tonight. 100-degree heat. Tempers flaring. Home opener.
The tensions are high, Josh. Tensions are high. Dirty team. Got to get it done.
The defensive coordinator tried benching the starting cornerback. So like on Monday, he went after him hard on film on Sunday. Then on Monday, he benched him, but his dad was telling me this, and I'm like, it's a ploy. I'm like, there's no way that that he means business. Like, he just, whatever reason he's trying to prove something to him, and he wants him to do it during the week, he'll get his job back. Well, he did, but it was like the next day. Like, there was this big ta-da, then the next day he just like kind of handed it back to him without any like real work. So what do you do? Like, what are you doing here? I don't quite understand that. And on top of it all, I know you're going to be with me on this. I'm tired of corners catching shit. Tired of corners catching crap for linebackers getting sucked inside, and you're having to take on two lead blockers and a running back coming your way, and all this space, and you're 117 pounds. What are you supposed to do? Like, how much can you do? As these linebackers who are getting yelled at are completely sucked inside, and you're just kind of like, so I had a lot of empathy for this particular player over like kind of the stuff that he was catching crap for. So I'm excited to see him tonight get at it.
Yeah. Andrew Callan says shots fired, Greg. Josh says running is for chumps. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I wouldn't have not done football in favor of cross country. I'll tell you that.
That's a different kind of running. Like, track
that's a different kind of running. Yeah, track is different. Track's about explosiveness and glory.
Cross country is just like
pain and sadness.
How can I make my mind numb?
Yeah,
and just run for no reason.
No one wants that. Can I
Forrest Gump this long enough?
No one wants that. Vamos Irish says, if we get subscribe over 50%, Greg will race Jamie University in a 40. I think it has to be Christian, because he's been kind of tooting his horn about this one time, like 30 years ago, he stole home, like Benny the Jet in Sandlot. So I think that race would have to come against Christian, but we'll have to figure something out. But listen, Ryan got his 5 plays, and that's enough for a highlight tape. And if you're going to get a highlight tape, then you should go to VSR Media, Josh. Founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emmy Award-winning anchor Vahid Sadrazadeh, VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com Mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. All right. IGK, Irish Gordian Knot asks, what's the game day meal for you? I always go big for game one, so I'm smoking a boar head from a... We got to hang out with this guy. I'm smoking a boar head from the boar I trapped in June. Fried homemade farmer's cheese stuffed squash blossoms and onion rings. It ain't going to be that. This is the brewer. IGK is living the greatest life right now. He's smoking a boar head. So I ask you, Josh.
What the hell?
You will not live up to this, but what is your game day meal?
Yeah, it's not boar. Boar's great too. I love, like, we got people that'll go down to Kentucky and go hunt boar and bring it home and put it on a spit. But I've never heard of anyone smoking a boar head.
He trapped it.
And trapping it too. Like, they'll go shoot them. But
is IGK
like, this is like some like Kobe beef type stuff going on here. Like the special. Anyways, here's what's funny about me at 6'1", 265, 270 pounds. With 3 kids and being married and doing what I do, game day meals are like the worst meals of my life usually. Like, they're very rushed. Like, I live an hour and a half away from South Bend, so on home games, I am, flying up there. I'm eating at whatever's at a tailgate that someone wants to give me, I'll be eating. If you get up in the press box, it's not good food. It's not good. And then after the game, they bring up the worst pizza known to man in Papa John's. Sorry if that was a sponsor of yours, Greg, but they're just terrible. So I don't really eat that great on home game days. Away game days a little better. But it's just like, I need cooler weather. Like, when it's hot, I really don't care what I'm eating. I just don't want to be hungry. If it's cooler weather, I'll have pots of whatever going on. There's a great seafood stew I like to do. You just do some, sketty and meatballs. I make great freaking meatballs, but I don't get too crazy with it just because I don't have the time. Yeah.
It's hard now, like, because I'm kind of working right during this time, right? There's a lot going on. So like, and I have to, I'm not working, but I do have to track the game in a way. I can't like watch like a fan anymore. Plus the kids, like, it's just difficult. If I was like just fanning it out and I didn't have to worry about like a post game show or anything, then I'd probably do like sliders. I make a version of sweet potato chips where it's like I dice them up and I slice them up and I put some olive oil on them and I put sea salt on there and then I bake them and they get nice. And there's a certain kind of way you bake them, they get kind of nice and crispy, but also there's
throw a little parsley on those too.
Not parsley, mostly because anything green on it, the kids won't eat it. So you can't put any green stuff on there. So the kids will eat that, so they can get crispy, but also still fluffy and stuff. I'll do sliders. The kids like their tots, probably some mac and cheese. That's probably what I would do if it wasn't like a situation where I actually had to work and pay attention. But man, I can't beat the boar's head. I'll tell you that. And I'll tell you something else, Josh. This is the third time Rick has dropped $20 super chat in this
what
week.
Up, Rick?
From Rick, he is a Texas A&M fan.
Irish they got money, Aggie man. Here. They just flaunt it. That's what's going on. They want you to know how rich they are. They are brushing their teeth with oil, bro.
He watches a lot of podcasts. Y'all have some of the best podcast shows. Hope everyone appreciates them. Like, subscribe, support, gig 'em. Rick is the man. Rick can come back whenever he wants. Texas Chris has also been in the shows this week. Thank you for your support, Texas Chris. The heat is only overplayed #now, or not hashtag, quote unquote now, because we have a cold spell down here and it's only going to be 90-ish. Yeah, I think at game time, it's going to be around 87.
82. Yeah.
I saw 87, but it's going to be in the 80s. I think as around the second half, it's going to be low 80s. Most August Texas days used to be looking at more like 109, 114. Let's go.
Can I drop some truth?
Yeah, please.
And I feel like I am like, in the Notre Dame space, I feel like I am like the main culprit. Like, weather posts do amazingly well. It's funny how many people will click on a weather story for a game rather than
weather
just looking it
stories.
up in their app. Like you can just look it right up on I got 3 weather apps on my phone, right? I can just look up College Station anytime I want. If I do a weather story on the game, and I do it every single week, some weeks the weather means more than not, whether it's rain, hurricanes, big heat. But anytime it gets a little above the average or the mean for what you would think would be normal, people lose their minds. And I'm here for it. I'm absolutely 100% here for it. And I feel like, maybe some of it's my fault. It gets fanned a little bit because it'll be one of the bigger stories of the week. And it's nothing other than just, hey, I saw this on AccuWeather. But yeah, it's 85, 86 that we're going to be down there.
Yeah,
we're good. It's fine.
You'll be fine. Texas Chris says medical research shows it takes approximately 2 weeks to acclimate to extreme heat. So we're doing medical research. This is, I didn't expect it on the happy hour show, but we got medical research in here.
It's been hot up here. It's been friggin' hot for a while.
Samson talked to I don't want to do it justice because it's actually a very well-researched article. But he's like, he talked to like some nuclear physicist or whatever it is, like talking about the effect of noise on the senses or whatever. And like, I don't want to, again,
this is what happens when you lose access. This is what happens when you lose access to practice sessions. This is
Pete's in the,
because good writers like Pete will go dive it in for whatever angle they can find. And all of a sudden that's a thing. He didn't get to see a couple scrimmage tags,
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about noise and doctors.
Adrian Muller's here, Texas A&M guy. Thumbs up. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Like, honestly, this is like very disorienting. Like the niceness of the A&M fans all week. Like usually we don't get fans.
It shouldn't be though.
What do you mean? Like,
all right.
It has nothing, but by the way, this has nothing to do with A&M. It's like opposing fans, they're not usually in the shows, but if they are, it's like not in a good way. So
there
make your point.
There's a handful of programs throughout my 46 years of life. There's a handful of programs that I have gravitated towards as far as if they are on, I am watching them. And I am definitely rooting for them in a lot of situations. A&M has always been one of those teams because I hate Texas so much, like the entire state, and then their flagship university, the Longhorns. I've always gravitated towards A&M. And this goes back to being old, like the Thanksgiving, Black Friday, or whatever it was, Texas A&M games. That's always on, right? That was a national kind of celebration of college football, was that game. And I don't remember ever rooting for Texas in that game. It's always been A&M. A&M, there's a few other handful of programs, but they're good. I think they're good people. I've conversed with a few online here and there. They seem to me like Tennessee. It's funny. Tennessee and Georgia fans will tell you each one of them are trash. But my interactions with Georgia and Tennessee people are similar when they've been freaking awesome. Like they've been great fans. You could talk a little trash. It's no big deal. I mean, and give, take, but have been really appreciative of like the stuff that we do, this, Notre Dame as a whole, to the system. So it does not surprise me that you got some A&M people in here giving you a thumbs up. I think they're good beats.
Mea culpa to Texas Chris. He's actually a Notre Dame fan. But I just assumed the Texas part, but it's fine. Mea culpa to him. Everyone else, all the others in here have been great. So I appreciate it. I appreciate
Wait.
Let's see if there's anything else in here. Zach Davis enjoyed the 5-star pod today about embracing villainy. I mean, embrace it, right? We've always been, I think you and I have always been pro, like, be the villain. It's fine.
Brendan too. Brendan.
Of course. So. Of course.
There's no other way to go about it. Otherwise you just look like a whiner.
Yeah.
You look like, oh, woe is me. Everyone's against me. And in a lot of ways that's true, But why not just be a dick about it? Like,
Right.
just say, yeah, okay, maybe I am. Be the bully, man.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that.
Yeah. No problem. No problem on that.
No good TV
And
villain was ever whining about people not liking him.
yeah.
No good villain.
Kevin Brady says, as an ND fan, I respect A&M. Was a huge Dat Win fan when I was younger. Like, I think when Notre Dame played Texas A&M in back-to-back Cotton Bowls, like, obviously you want Notre Dame to win, but it's like, man, that maroon and white, like that looks pretty good, right? And then again, this week they're wearing the white pants with the white
Leland
helmet.
McElroy?
Of course, I remember Leland McElroy
and
Greg Davis and Rodney Thomas.
The dude had a 100 speed in college football. 100 speed. Like, if you weren't taking A&M and running the triple option, you could come out of that bone and pitching him the ball like every other play. What are you even doing? That's like this. That's like the Bo Jackson cheat in that game. Was McElroy. So
yep. Matthew Patterson, A&M is a cult though. Yeah, but like,
yes.
If you're not in a cult,
There's
then you
cults.
can just you can admire their uniforms, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with admiring. I don't like any of their alternates.
So I am disappointed that they're doing the all black.
Yeah,
because I don't like any of their alternates. I like their basic home stuff. But I am curious. If they're going to go all black, why would Notre Dame not go all white
in this game?
Do the Western good guys, bad guys thing, black, white.
They're out. No. And they're
like wear a white uniform.
In this game, they're doing white helmets, maroon jersey, white pants. Like they did for the blacks. No. They're doing the good jerseys. They're wearing what they did against Alabama in 2012. I think the Manziel year.
Are you sure?
I'm almost positive. Carter tweeted about it.
All right, because I saw something with their black, the black uniforms, because they really made the SEC logo like stick out on those things.
I mean, they might be doing it for another game. I think someone said they're doing it for LSU. Yeah, Zach Davis said they're doing it for LSU. White helmets and maroon jerseys for
and the white pants. I don't like the white helmets. That's a shame.
You don't like that? I think it's nice. And looks good.
I like their normal look.
A&M's Twitter posted their game day uniform today. Adrian Muller says, who appears to be A&M fan, black is LSU. Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's a Brian. We're still linked to Brian Kelly in some way, I suppose. So maybe that's where I got confused. He's such a big part of my life.
Adrian Muller. Regardless of what you think about this game, I'm curious. Put in the chat how you feel about A&M's season in the SEC this year, because I think this game is in a way a good matchup for Notre Dame just because it's at home and because your biggest strength is against Notre Dame's biggest weakness. So that kind of this game aside, I'm kind of curious as to your I guess your vibe about what you think A&M is going to be this year, because I don't really know what to make of them, right, Josh? Like I kind of said, I think it was on with you guys about like, why are they ranked? And it's not because, like, I can see why someone would think they'll end up being good, right? But I can't really make out why, like people are like, oh, like I think the big thing about this game on a national level is people talk about Notre Dame in a way like they're overrated and they shouldn't be ranked as high, and maybe they're like maybe they're like closer to the 20s than they should be, like the top 10.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but like I wonder why A&M doesn't get that same conversation, like,
especially
because
the way that things have gone down over the years.
They haven't been good.
I do think that they're a better team than their record most years, though.
The problem is last year it wasn't a one-off. It was the second in a row.
It was rough. I think this will be the case this year, though, where I think their record, they will be better than their record. But it won't matter much because we're still probably talking maybe at least 4 losses. If you throw the ND game into it. They can never get over that little hump and consistently. And yeah, people. I mean, A&M isn't. They're not getting the noise that Notre Dame does because they're not Notre Dame. I'm not trying to say that arrogantly. I'm just saying like Notre Dame gets that grief about being overrated because they're Notre Dame. A&M's not catching that grief. Texas does because they're Texas, right? So like A&M is kind of immune to that, people don't automatically go that route. But why are they ranked? I don't know. They do have a nice defensive line, and I am not sure about anything else. Like their offensive line.
Yeah.
Brendan will say that religiously. They have one of the worst offensive lines in the SEC the last 2 years. What changes with the new coaching staff? Things will change, but how much does it get better is one thing. So we'll definitely have to wait and see. But like the reports coming out, and I've been following Carter for a long time, they don't seem all that encouraging either. Like it's not terrible, but it's not like real encouraging if I'm an A&M fan. So I don't know. But Notre Dame's going to catch that grief because it's Notre Dame.
Always. It's just odd. Like in 2015, Notre Dame they finished the regular season 10-2, and had they were ranked 5th prior to their second loss to Stanford. And that Stanford team went on to win the Rose Bowl, I think it was. So that was a good Stanford team. Notre Dame went 10-2, finished 10-3. They lost to Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. 2016, they were bad, right? They went 4-8. In 2017, they started the season unranked, right? And obviously, I think people felt like, well, they're going to have a good offensive line, and Brandon Wimbush, and on and on and on, right?
You knew it would be a little bit. It would be better than 16.
You knew it would be better than 16, but also like they started the season unranked, and I think that was basically fair, right? And so like A&M goes 5-7, 7-6, and it's like they lost Evan Stewart. They lost the I can't remember the other D lineman's name. He was good though. He was a good player. But they lost him. They lost a whole bunch of other players, like key players. They lost Reuben Owens, and people are acting like Notre Dame is the team that is the overrated one. Like it's weird narrative wise, not necessarily like on a game matchup wise.
I just take it as, this is just the natural flow of what happens in the preseason. I don't care if Notre Dame was ranked 7th or 9th or 13th or 16th. They're going to be called overrated. And it's going to be easy for people to poke holes because Notre Dame has not done their part as far as like consistently win big games. Win a freaking BCS bowl game or whatever, New Year's Six bowl game, whatever it is. Those things matter to people that are saying those things. It may not matter to us right now about it because it doesn't really matter, but it matters when people are talking about them in a conversation. And so regardless of what's true and what's not, no one other than a Notre Dame fan is going to correct you if you say Notre Dame's overrated. They'll be like, hell yeah, bro, overrated every year. It's just it's an easy thing. It's like walking into a big crowd and chanting USA. Maybe you shouldn't be chanting that because someone just fell from a podium and broke their neck, and it's not the right place to do it. But no one's really going to tell you to stop chanting and supporting the troops. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To get back to Adrian Muller, I asked him what his feeling was. Considering that our quote unquote hardest games are at home, fan base is feeling good. 9-3 is where he stands, and playoffs in next couple of years. It'll be interesting to track, right? Like I think for a lot of coaches, and this is kind of speaking of Mike Elko, like there's a lot of coaches where it's one thing to take a bad team and make them competitive like he did at Duke. And it's another thing to take a team and make them like elite, right? And this is frankly like a fair question for like Marcus Freeman. Like I think they've been good, right? Like I think Notre Dame's been a good team, but like they haven't been an elite team by any stretch. And like there's no evidence that he can take them to be an elite team. I think the evidence is like Mike Denbrock has been an elite coach. I think Al Golden showed himself to be an elite defensive coordinator. So you feel like he surrounded himself with people who have done it, and B, have done it at the highest levels, right? Like Al Golden was,
continuing to do it.
Yeah, he was a high level defensive coach in the NFL, right? And so, they've turned out really good units, both of them. Not at the same time, obviously they just started coaching together, but I think it's kind of an open question about, who has the coaching advantage in this game, from a head coach standpoint. So that'll be interesting to track. Like this is a pretty big narrative game for like Marcus Freeman, right? It's
and it doesn't even matter if Texas A&M only wins 5 or 6 games this year. None of that matters because he needs the win narrative moving forward. If you can see my hand chops here, moving forward for the season. Like it doesn't matter how good or bad A&M is going to be. He has to get this big road win, hostile crowd win off of the, got to get that monkey off the back. And you could do that this weekend and then move forward. And there's not, there's not much meat on this bone on the schedule. I've ranted about it for months, for a year. I've ranted about the schedule, but this game right here, none of it's going to matter 2 months from now, how good A&M is if you keep winning, but you have to win this game. You absolutely have to win this game.
Yes. Adrian Muller asks, will Notre Dame travel well to Aggie Land? Generally they travel everywhere well.
There's plenty in Texas.
Definitely. I mean, there's plenty. Definitely. Any big, state like Texas is going to have a lot of Notre Dame fans.
So like Dallas is loaded with Notre Dame alums, Notre Dame fans.
Dallas I can't really compare it because I don't know like what happens when Alabama goes to A&M. Like I don't foresee like some sort of quote unquote takeover where it's like
this isn't Georgia.
70-30
this isn't
or
Georgia.
Something. Yeah.
Or Cincinnati at Notre Dame Stadium in 21, which I still consider it. I don't care what Jude says. It was a takeover. Brendan and I saw that. That was too much red in that stadium.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll show out like that, but there will be a decent amount of Notre Dame fans there. And I hope you treat them well, Aggie fans.
My assumption is they will, based on this podcast and just how it's been all week.
Well, usually it's like you got like Georgia was a fun example because they got the red carpet thrown out for their complete takeover, right? And they were just so appreciative of everything.
Yes.
So when Notre Dame went down there, that was a big story about that was Notre Dame fans were shown this. They made Georgia itself, the school itself, made sure to tell their fans, hey, they were awesome to us up there. Return the favor. And for the most things that I had heard back, that that happened. Yeah. So while I may complain about Notre Dame Stadium being a little too friendly, I'm not saying be jerks or throwing cups at opposing fans like that, but they're a little too friendly. You do get the return favor from a lot of other schools, save like a Miami or a Michigan with their classless, cheating, lying, scandalous liars, cheaters, nonsense they got going on up there. So
yeah, I think the thing with like every game that involved some sort of takeover for Notre Dame was against a team that was red. Like there's something about red.
It just doesn't popping. Travel there either.
Yeah.
That wasn't a common game.
Yeah. Like there's something about red popping that is different from like no one talks about Notre Dame takeovers of like the Coliseum when they come to LA. Right. But it's always
which happens. Yes.
Which it's every single time. Yes. But like everyone's wearing blue or some people were wearing green. Like there's not one uniform color that everyone's wearing, and so it doesn't.
If you're on the road, if you're a fan on the road, I've said this for years. If you are going to an away game as a Notre Dame fan, you have to be wearing the color green, unless you are going to East Lansing or to Autzen, and then you switch it up to the blue.
Yeah.
But if you are going to a non-green school on the road, it should be travel greens. Should be.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than see it, and a lot of fans will do that, and you'll see big patches of them in opposing stadiums, and it's nice to see. Those are the Warriors that came out to to help. So I don't. You know, the thing too about those takeovers that people just don't talk about enough is, like, first of all, Nebraska is a team that has traveled well for decades and decades and decades anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing in Nebraska but corn. They love that team. They'll go anywhere. Georgia, they never traveled out of the Southeast. Their fans don't get to go anywhere. They were so appreciative just to get the hell out of the Southeast and get somewhere. And they set up the Braves game at Wrigley Field. I mean, it was all like a world storm. So they were all ready to go do that. And then Cincinnati, they're in a year where they can go to the playoffs. It's got a fairly big alumni base, and you're only 5.5 hours away. It was an easy game to travel up to. So you kind of got hit with some hard ones there. The Nebraska was probably the most deflating because you would have thought you could have kept that in-house a little more, and no. The other two, Georgia especially, makes sense, but it's disappointing as well, though.
Most deflating for me was Cincinnati because it was like, don't let this happen. And they let it happen. It was look, it was dumb. The DJ was still playing music after we lost. The stadium was still playing music, which, what are you doing? And their fans are all celebrating. Brendan and I were appalled. We're like, somebody pull the plug. Like, pull the damn plug. This is ridiculous. Like, they should not be dancing around, these seats here. That was rough. That was rough. Not what you want. Last one from Adrian Muller. Me personally, I've always had a ton of respect for Notre Dame traditions, etc. We've overall a pretty respectful fan base, as evidenced by everyone's behavior this week. That has been a model for all fans in these situations. Josh, we're going to end it there. Thank you for being here, buddy. I know you've got some duties. You've got some high school football duties. You guys are hosting. Yeah, you guys are hosting. You got things going on.
I saw a comment.
Let you go. What is
Real quick, I saw a comment that someone said, of course it'd be me on the happy hour one, right?
Yes.
And I just let you know, I've been drinking Dr. Pepper this entire time. nothing else in here but the old DP. But that's coming. So I'm getting to the high school football tailgate where I can really get down to business. But Greg, thanks for having me on. Loved having you on the show there at night, and this was a lot of fun. We need to do more stuff. If you stop being scared of the troops and of the show, you're out. Listen, people don't know. Not many people know this. Greg is literally on the phone call for every Earn 5-Star podcast. He gets the invite every single one, so he could just roll in any time. But the troops scare him away, so he stays away. But I'm glad to have you.
I will correct the record on another show. So we will do that.
Bud.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody.
I think that's me, that horn
Yeah,
Hawkins.
Josh has got to get going. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you hear, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. So whatever it is, we are going live. We'll be back. Jamie and I will be back tomorrow after the game, pretty much directly after the game, like maybe 5-10 minutes after, to recap the game and everything. So enjoy the weekend. Have a good one, everyone. Keep hitting and hustling, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.